Hey guys, Musa here from Quantum Home Improvements and Solutions. Welcome to our Tiny Home live chat. And if this is the first time to our channel, it's great having you join us. And so today I've got special guests Dominic and Eugene.
Hey guys.
Hi everyone.
And so Dominic's not a stranger to live chat. He's been on a couple with me.
Yep.
So Dominic, it's great to have you back again.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and Eugene's also not a stranger to YouTube because we made a video together renovating his bathroom. How's it going with your bathroom, Eugene?
Oh, it's perfect, man. It looks fantastic. The colors are great.
How's the toilet flushing?
Oh, it flushes well.
Yeah.
For once.
Yeah. He called me to his house, in actual fact, and said, Musa, I've got a problem with my toilet. It's cracked and there's a few things happening. And so I looked at his toilet and do you remember what I said?
Yeah, it's not your toilet, man.
It's your bathroom, that's the problem. We had to rip that thing apart. It was an ensuite. Yeah. And so because I've got this spinal injury, I said to Eugene, I'll make a video on this. It's going to take a month because it does take me a long time to do things, but he has to help me carry stuff. And that turned out fantastic. I love that video.
That was a good...
I struggled, but it was fun. And Eugene's wife said that he wouldn't have the capacity for it because Eugene is actually highly educated and he doesn't look it, but he's highly educated.
Yeah, I've read a few books.
Now, Dominic has actually got his own part-time YouTube channel. I say part-time because he actually is a consultant. He manages managers, which is not the exact term, but Dominic, give us more.
Okay, so in essence what it's about is helping managers to manage people. So it's about all the areas of the business, but particularly focusing on how do we manage the people that are working in our business.
Yeah, and you got a doctorate on this too, didn't you?
Yeah.
On the what was the actual course called? The degree.
Well, it's called PhD in Organisation and Management.
Yep.
The topic of the thesis was knowledge worker trust within organisations.
Okay, I've got a really sore foot at the moment, but if I call you doctor, are you able to look at it?
No, I can't.
Okay, that's fine. Anyway, he is a doctor. He's a doctor. He's a doctor of management. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Hey, it's great having you both with us. And guys, there's a lot been going on. This tiny home is a big thing for me personally. Big thing for my daughter Marion, who's been helping me a lot. And I've got to be honest, it's really straining her a bit. I'm putting a lot of pressure on her. I try to do as much as I can, but she is beautiful. She helps me out as much as she can while trying to do her own thing, and she has her own life. And so, anyway, I want to talk about the Tiny Home series. I get a lot of questions from people who meet me on the streets, in hardwares. Joe Blazovic, I caught up with just only recently, him and his wife, Joe, and we had a great chat about a few things.
Yeah.
In actual fact, on stage 6, I'm actually up to stage 7, by the way, even though I've released stage 4. In stage 6, I put in collaboration with Hume Doors and Timbers, we put a sliding door in, and actually 2 of them with a couple of features. I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I've got to tell you what great products they are. It was daunting for me to do that because I hadn't used this product before.
Yeah.
So when I saw Joe at Bunnings, he was talking to me about some of the work he's doing, and he went online looking for how do you put up a sliding door, and he thought this is too complicated or whatever it was, and he goes, and then I saw you, and he goes, I didn't realise what you were doing, and he said, I watched the video, he goes, mate, fantastic, and then it helped him out. I was really happy to hear that because that's what the videos are about.
Yeah.
That's what your videos are about.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so, by the way, if you want a link to Dominic, I have already got it in the descriptions. So, along with a whole heap of other links for the tiny home, for Eugene's bathroom renovation, and for Mr. Suka, who's helped me out a lot. So yeah, and look guys, if you have any questions at all, please write a comment in. Dominic has agreed to read them out to me.
Yep.
So he's just going to keep an eye on that. And so please send them in. I believe Joe, my mate Joe Basil, is watching. And yeah, so there's a couple of things there's a lot of things I need to talk about. But being on making this tiny home series has identified a serious issue that I have with my spine, which is the medication. And so I made a video. I will be releasing that next Friday with Victor, who's a naturopath, very good friend of mine. I recently discovered in November last year, just before I started the Tiny Home series, stage 1, I found out that Lyrica can cause dementia if you have a disposition. And unfortunately, we not only have a disposition in our family, it's rife. So we had my mother, her mother, my grandmother, her father, my great-grandfather, and everyone in between. There's like so many people with dementia. And so I was getting a lot of brain fog, and it was really, really messing my brain up, especially making videos. So to promote, as Eugene knows, and anyone who's made videos with me, I would drink coffee to stimulate my brain. I never drank coffee in my life, and I've had to in the last 4 years making videos for YouTube. And so once I discovered Lyrica causes dementia, I stopped it last year, just before I started the Tiny Home series. So this has turned my life upside down. Victor gave me a few suggestions, and they are working to a degree. I've just got to and also my GP, Dr. Penner, he's fantastic. So we work together and try to nut this out. So as I said, we're up to stage 7, and it's looking fantastic. Dominic, when you drove up, what did you say?
Yeah, I saw it. It looks really awesome. Like it's so
incredible. You should see inside. You can walk in there now. So
great. Okay.
It's got flooring. It's got walls. It's
fantastic.
I just haven't put the plasterboard on yet.
Okay.
So stage 7 is putting wiring in. And doing the furring channel in the ceilings, also putting the insulation in, putting the plasterboard in, the villa board, and then set it. So my mate Tony from DNA Plastering has offered to come and help me set, which is fantastic because I would find it hard pushing a trowel all day for a few days. So he's going to come and do that with me. So it's fantastic. And Tony's just a great guy. He also gave me the timbers in stage 4, which you might have seen if you watched stage 4. And so they were repurposed timbers, but I've got to tell you, they were almost brand new. Yeah. Hardly anything wrong with them. And so I just had to work around the nails because they were repurposed. And thanks again, Tony. Thank you very, very much.
Giuseppe says hello to everyone.
Hey, Joe. Thank you very much, Joe. And so Joe goes by the name of Joe and Giuseppe. He told me he's going to be on, so fantastic. Joe, I'm going to ask you, what do you think of the tiny home so far? You are also in another group that I've got, a private group, and you get to see some of the updates well before time. But tell me, what do you think? I'd like to know what you think. Now, while you're answering that, I want to talk about this guy here. Now, you might have noticed he has a bit of an accent, but in actual fact, believe it or not, English is his first language. It actually is true. Is that true?
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so which country has English as their first language, but with a strong Asian, possibly Chinese accent? Tell me. If anyone knows the answer to that, send me a comment. All right, so now Eugene doesn't just talk Mandarin. He talks other languages, but he also talks Arabic. So on stage 5, I chose not to talk to him in English, and so he had to learn Arabic. And so Eugene, what's level? A spirit level?
Ziba? He's constantly asking for the level.
Eugene, Saber.
That's funny.
That was funny.
Jose says, great job, Melissa.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you very much. And so I made a video of Joe too, by the way, restoring his barbecue, and that video is starting to take off now. It took a while. Like some of the videos, I have to wait for them to be discovered. We are a young channel. We also do a diverse amount of different things, so sometimes that sort of goes against YouTubing, but I've got to be honest, from the very beginning, I always said I'm going to do a multitasking, it's going to be a multitasking channel, and the channel is all about being self-sufficient in every way, not just with materialism, but also helping your family as well. So if you can try to keep your finances in order by doing things yourself, that also makes a happier home. So it's really important not to, how can you say, outsource everything. Sometimes it's better just to try some things yourself, save a bit of money, have a bit of fun, a bit of team building with your family. It's actually important. I'm sure, Dominic, you can understand that, and
Absolutely.
Eugene's got a couple of boys.
Joe also recommends your attention to detail.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you. I really enjoyed doing the barbecue video with you, Joe. I've never pulled a barbecue apart before, but I've got to tell you, it was so simple. It was a beef eater. I think it was a beef eater, Joe, wasn't it? I think it was. And mate, that was so easy to pull apart. And Joe's just watching me thinking, how do you remember that? I said, I've just done other things. It just reminds me of other things, that's all. So when you've got experience of other things, so you can always apply them to new things. And that's it. There's no intelligence there. It's just memory, that's all.
He pulls everything apart.
I do. I do. I love pulling things apart. In saying that, I went to Dominic's house just recently, and and he told me he's got a problem with a window. It's timber,
Yeah.
and it didn't have a shelter over that window for a long time, and it decayed, got wood rot. Anyway, so now it doesn't open properly, and it's there's a few issues with it.
Yeah.
So I went and had a look at it just to see if it's retrievable, if it's fixable, and it's borderline.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've said to Dominic, okay, this is the way it's going to be. We'll try to fix this, but if it doesn't work, we're going to screw it into the window, into the frame, into the pane. So then, you won't be able to open anymore. He's now got a small shelter over it, and so it protects it. So it's time to fix it.
Yeah.
And so we're going to be doing multiple things on that window, fixing hinges that are totally rusted, not totally, but rusted, and also planing back a few areas that have expanded. Put bog in some areas to try to fix up some of the holes.
Yeah, stop the wood rot.
Yeah, well, that's where we've got to clean out the most and let that dry out. Yeah. So I'll bring my heat gun, just kill off that bacteria.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, kill that bacteria. Let's leave no room for survival.
It wasn't a case of me pulling that apart; it just fell apart.
Yeah, but it's fine. Look, we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
That's no promises on that. But yeah, look, sometimes things look impossible. Joe's barbecue looked impossible. If you saw the before and after, I didn't know what the outcome was going to be, and I told Joe to source this, that, and the other, and he came up with a product called Magic. And we tried it out. You spray it on. You've got to put a bit of elbow grease. You've got to use steel wool. Yeah. That turned out fantastic. Anyway, I want to talk about tiny homes, and I've digressed a bit too much. In actually, I'm going to digress one more time. I want to talk about Eugene a little bit. Now, I met Eugene, I think now it was about 10 years ago, probably around about. And when he first came from, no one's answered the question, by the way. Mm-hmm. I'm going to answer it for you. He's from Singapore. Okay, so Singapore's first language is English because they have a multitude of cultures and languages, and they've nominated as a parliament to speak English. Is that correct?
The constitution says the national language is Malay.
Malay? Is that right?
Yes.
Well, how come everyone speaks English?
Because the education system is brought forward with English as the first language.
Okay. Yeah. All right, so it's not official then?
No.
Okay. You can speak Malay?
I can understand a little. I can speak a little.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So when Eugene came from Singapore, and I've been to Singapore, and I've got to tell you, it was very interesting breathing water. So that was really interesting. But and I was only there for a few days. But anyway, so Eugene the first year in summertime was wearing a jumper. The following year, in wintertime, he was wearing a t-shirt. He climatised very quickly, I've got to say. We became good friends pretty quickly, but then he had a daughter, and anyway, the day before her baptism, he nominated my wife and I to be godparents, and Eugene had a near-fatal accident, falling on his head, and was touch and go for 2 weeks whether he was going to survive it. So basically they had to remove the top of his skull, and that was quite interesting.
That's annoying though.
So Eugene has an array of qualifications, a list as long as his arm, but his wife actually has a professional job as well, and even though Eugene recovered fully, he found that his profession, which was in corporate, wasn't so desirable for him, and so he chose to work from home and be a home dad, so he can run the kids around while his wife was being a professional, and it was his choice, not from the injury, but his choice. And so he then took on another course again and became a. Oh, you got a question?
No.
Oh, good. And he became a qualified broker. Is that correct?
Mm.
Under Joe Suka?
No. So I was.
He helped you though?
I did. He did help me with the ambiguities around all the systems and all
Yeah.
that. But eventually, I didn't need to be under anybody. I could actually have it under my own license.
Okay.
Yeah. But Joe did answer a lot of questions that I had initially. I had a lot of questions about how do you get this started or what do we do?
Yeah.
Joe helped a lot. Yeah.
So if you don't know who Joe is, it's Joseph Suka from Intellect Finance. I've got his link in the descriptions below. So he's a loans broker. What do you call it? A mortgage broker?
Mortgage broker.
And he does all mortgages, commercial, domestic. What do you call them? What else?
Home, business.
Yeah, he does all. He does personal loans too. So
Asset finance.
and his finance, and he covers everything. Now Eugene's in competition with him now. But one thing Joe can't do. Sorry, Joe. He can't speak Asian. Okay, so now this guy can speak multiple languages. So I haven't got his link yet, but I will put a link in the descriptions below if you're looking for some kind of loan, because he is a broker. He works from home. So so I'll be putting you in the description. So anyway, now that I've spoken about that, there is an acronym written on my paper here: ATHA. I am in the association of the Australian Tiny House Association. So I'm a part of that. And so this tiny home series, I haven't mentioned it much, and I should mention it more. Okay, but I am actually a member. And I am not building tiny homes for a future. I am building it because I wanted an exciting video for YouTube. And I really love pain. I am a masochist. Is someone a masochist? Is that someone who likes pain on themselves? Yeah. So I'm a masochist. So, and I'm also a sadist. Sorry, Marion. I like to inflict pain on others. So, no, I don't. It's not true. In actual fact, when I started doing the tiny home, I had a couple of falls. I've had 3 now. 2 of them were quite bad. So, I do have weak legs. I probably shouldn't have made this tiny home. But the reality is I did this for YouTube with the fact of knowing that if financially I get stuck, I can sell this. It's quite a sellable product. I'm making it top notch. It's very heavy duty. If you haven't seen any of the videos, they are all in the descriptions below, up to 4, and 5 will be released in 3 weeks. That's with Eugene. He's in it. And so, as I said before, and so, I decided, I made the choice to continue on. I was actually going to not even air the first one when I started having these problems. But if I didn't sell this, and I'm not choosing to, I built this for visitors, for relatives. But now I'm realising I will need an income. So I am thinking to do a part-time bed and breakfast with this tiny home. And so, I think it'll be just a bit of income. I don't want to do a bed and breakfast every day. I have too much going on to do that. But just to do it a couple of days a week, I think would be manageable. And in fact, I'll get Marion to manage it, and she can have some of the take-ins on that. So just to help her out and help me out. Anyway, so so with stage 1, we made the base with Joseph Suka and with Marion, and it turned out incredible. And it's very heavy duty. Most people have told me, why did you go so heavy duty? Right? So there's so many negatives and positives I've got to this, and that's fine. You expect that when you're on YouTube. You've got to have really thick skin. And so the reality is, if this needs to be transported, because all tiny homes must be transportable. If council say that it must be off your site, then you must be able to move it.
Wow.
Okay, you cannot have it there permanently. If you have it there permanently, you're going to need a development application, and it has to be approved. Okay, in this case here, because it's movable, it does not have to be approved. It does not. You do not need to put an application. In most cases, in some cases you will have to. So I'm going to have to just change that a little. But so it's heavy, very, very heavy duty. But when we made the walls, they were also very heavy duty. We used 70 by 70 SHS steel and 3 mil thick wall thickness.
3 mil.
3 mil. It's very hard. Drilling holes through that for all the electrical and that has been a nightmare. But we're doing it. So God rest his soul, my father was a class 1 welder, and he taught me how to weld. And my father was a very good welder. He basically was an arc welder. In actual fact, he died from emphysema. So unfortunately, the chemicals from welding can get to you. It needs to be ventilated. That's why I thought welding outside would be good. But I discovered, and I didn't do much MIG welding in my time. I've done a lot of arc welding. And I enjoy MIG welding much more. Let me tell you, it's much easier.
Yeah.
Anyone can MIG weld if they just get a few basic lessons.
Giuseppe says it's a great idea on the B&B, and you've got the great property for it.
Who's that?
Giuseppe.
Ah, beautiful. Thanks, Joe. I'm looking forward to you staying over. Anyway, so my dad taught me, and so when I made the tiny home, I discovered that the gas that's needed to run the MIG weld, you can do a gasless or gas. So gasless is actually splatters a lot. It's very hard to weld with it. Some people are good with it. I just preferred not to. I preferred with gas. Now the gas is an argon oxygen mix, but if there's any kind of wind, It's going to blow it out of the nozzle,
Oh.
and so it becomes hard to weld. Now, I did not know that,
No.
so I had to put it on full to weld. So there's a couple of my weldings that are a bit iffy, so I've gone back and welded over and made this huge, massive welds and grinded them down. Let me tell you, we've tested it. If you watch stage 2, let me think. No, stage 1. It was stage 2, sorry. When you watch stage 2, you watch that Marion and I make the walls, and we were not gentle with taking the walls off. We made them on the base of the tiny home so they can be level. And so when we took them off, the second one, we pushed off. And you can see the way it slams on the ground, dropping about a metre to the ground, and no movement. And then we put them back up when we had a team of guys in stage 3. And so one of the guys was Dominic's nephew, great guy. So we had 8 of them, but we also had a plan. And we structured it. I didn't show it on video. I wish I did. I had 2 plates welded on the side of the base. So when we pulled the wall up, all we had to do was get a sling. The guys just started to lift it up, and the tractor pulled it back, and it wouldn't go any further because the base had stoppers.
Okay.
And I didn't show it, but I showed it welding, cutting them off with the grinder later. So anyway, it was very tense that time because if one of those walls fell, it would have been very dangerous for anyone under it. Hence why I used the tractor with a sling. And it was very safe. Yeah. At all times, everything was safe. Now, your nephew is actually doing a builder's course or a supervisor's course. Yeah. And I asked him a question, did you feel unsafe at any point? And he answered me, no. I said, was this what you expected? He said, no. Because he's doing a university degree on it, and they just don't see these kind of things. And he was surprised. I think he was happy to do it. I haven't asked him that actually, but he looked like he just opened his eyes to construction a bit more than what he would learn in university. So it was great having him here, and I do appreciate. So Pat is his name. Anyway, so thank you very much, all you guys, to Mark, Pat, Louis, George. I'm going to miss someone. My son Michael, Marcus, Salmin, and I'm missing one. I know that because there was 8 of them. Who didn't I say? Oh man, sorry, I missed it. I'll have to count it later. Anyway, sorry guys. And anyway, so it turned out really well. I think it turned out fantastic. I think Pat's the one I missed.
Maybe,
yeah. Yeah. Pat's the one I missed. Yeah. Okay, so stage 3, we put the walls up. I then welded the ceiling joists, and then we put the cross brace in. And that turned out fantastic. How heavy duty was that? I said stage 3. That's stage 2. My apologies. Stage 2. Stage 3. I've got to get this right. I've got it written here just so I don't forget. Stage 3 is where I made the retractable decking. And as it turns out, this is one of the big highlights. When you're making a tiny home on a trailer, you must stick to the road rules. Trailers can't be bigger or wider than 2.5 meters. Now you can go over 2.5 with lights or mud guards or something like that, or tyres. So generally speaking, they make tiny homes 2.4 metres, so it makes sure they don't go over that regulation of 2.5. And the height can't be more than 4.3 metres high, and the weight is 4.3 tonne total. 4.3 tonne. It's 4.5 tonne. That's vehicle and trailer with the tiny home. So you're restricted. So most vehicles pulling that needs to be around about 2 tonne, roughly, because they've got to be big four-wheel drives that can take the weight of a 2.5 tonne trailer. Now, if you look at the trailer, I think the trailer weighs about 1 tonne. Now, you've got to build a tiny home with 1.5 tonne. That's almost impossible. Wow. And that's why tiny homes are very expensive, because they're very intricate, and you can get them in freezer panels or cool room panels, but it's an easy way out. It's not very structural. They are very warm. They're called cool room panels, but they're actually really warm. You'll find tiny homes are cooler because they're insulated better. So that's why I chose to make it with walls and not use freezer panels. It does cost more, it looks nicer, and it is cooler. In fact, Charlie, who came on stage 4, and also on stage 6, told me, but stage 6 is when we had the colour bond on, after Eugene helped me, and Charlie did the internal pipe work, and he was surprised how warm it was in there, because we're now in close to winter, but he's in a tiny home, and it's a cool room panel tiny home, and he said it's freezing. But ours, without walls, without the plasterboard and without more insulation was warmer than his.
Wow.
So in summertime, it will also deflect heat as well, better than a cool room panel tiny home. So anyway, I'll go back to tiny homes. So if you're building on trailer, you're restricted to those limitations. Now, I chose to build a tiny home on skids. Reason being, I am never going to buy a four-wheel drive. Okay, because they're very expensive, and they're expensive to run, to insure, and they don't depreciate very quickly, but they're very expensive to buy. If you've got a tiny home and you're not expecting to move it very often, and you put it on skids, you would then get it picked up with a tilt truck, either a tabletop or a semi-trailer, an articulate semi-truck, right? So mine is built to go on a semi-trailer. So I still had the height restrictions. You can't go over 4.3 unless you get special permission. And I'm trying to build it where you don't need special permission.
Yeah.
But the great thing is, when a truck is carting something other than a trailer, you can go on the road with 3.5 metre. That's an extra 1 metre wider than a normal trailer. 1 metre wider. Which means that this tiny home that we're building is not a tiny home in that sense. It's actually quite big. Now, if you look at the width here, most tiny homes would come about here. The width of that, they're very narrow. You can see here, this is still narrow, but not as narrow. And by the way, that's how the tiny home looks now, if you can see that. I'll try to get a little bit closer for you. So that's how it looks like. So that's how it looks like with the Colorbond. And it's looking fantastic with the gutter and with a small downpipe. I haven't got the rainwater tank yet. And so this picture I've got here is how the walls looked. This is the base up here. And then you've got the walls with the cross bracing. All those cross bracings are made from 3mm 70 by 70 SHS steel. It's very strong. But in between has been timbered up. Even the triangles have all been timbered up for me to screw the plasterboard on the inside. Plus we use the timbers to screw the Colorbond onto. It made it so much easier.
Was a nightmare going through the tree?
Yeah, we had to go through the steel. You saw how we had to go through it. It was a nightmare. But we used Brimix screws. And they were brilliant. They were very good screws, but still very hard. 3mm is hard. The screws I used were not made to go through 3mm steel, and it still went through beautifully with a bit of a push. A few times I had to get Eugene pushing with me on the other hand. Anyway, so stage 3, we did the decking and the retractable decking. So I've gone through that whole thing to explain, because we only made this tiny home 3.2 metres wide, not 3.5. So we went 3.2. Remembering, you don't go to the maximum just in case you go over a little. 3.4 would have been smart. But I always knew that I was going to make a retractable decking. And the decking takes up 200mm when it's retracted back. And that's why it's just over 3.4 metres. I think it's 3.450 with the Colorbond on, because the Colorbond takes up room. Okay, Colorbond corrugation profile is 16mm. But when you put the foil and blanket up against it to insulate it, it takes it closer to 20mm.
Oh, wow.
So that's why, and on the other side I've got a bracket to retract back the decking. So I've used a very heavy duty bracket up there to take the load of it. I haven't installed it yet, and but I got George Finch, the engineer, to come and just inspect everything I did, and he gave me approval in stage 2. Then he gave me approval in stage 4 to go ahead and clad it. And so he's given me a certificate on this. He loves it, and he's on video quoting that. It's fantastic. And I'm very happy with it. I'm happy with the progress. As I said, it's been painful, but it's coming together beautifully. And every time someone visits, they keep saying the same thing. I had, who said it the other day? My electrician, Danny, on stage 7, said that it's very different watching on video than to actually come and see it in person. And when we do finish this live chat, Dominic asked if we're going to have a look. We're going to have a look at the tiny home. Eugene hasn't seen this stage yet. Up to stage 7, it looks fantastic. I can now walk inside without tripping. So it's a lot safer for me now, so I'm a lot happier. So stage 4, as I said, was putting the walls on, but we also, the timber walls to fill in between all the steel. We also finished off the bathroom wall, or the ensuite wall, because we hadn't finished that, the window section. We finished that off. We put a couple of trimmers, so I show a bit of welding in stage 4, not much. Stage 1, 2 and 3 show a lot of welding. And so then we put the sliding door on and also put the windows in. And so it already started looking magic when they were in. It really started to come together. And so stage 5 is purely we did the plumbing in stage 4 with Charlie as well, which is the sewer. So we had to get the groundwork done. So in stage 6, when we put the flooring on, we can cover the floors up and not worry about the sewer anymore. Anyway, so stage 5 was putting the colour bond on, and there's a lot of work in there. You saw how much was involved. It was a lot.
It was exciting.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you, we didn't use scaffolds. We used ladders. I'm going to tell you, if you're going to do this, I would strongly recommend use scaffold. It's a lot safer because there's a bit of a slope to our property, and but we did it, and we had a couple of mishaps. But that's what happens. What happens on stage stays on stage. But Eugene was very generous. He came 3 times. It was a lot of work. But what did you think of that, Eugene? I want to ask you, what do you think of the process?
Well, I'll be honest, color bonds are really, for me it's really difficult to measure even, to place a color bond. Yeah. And somehow most have to figure it out. I couldn't. I just basically hold it. Eugene, hold it! Eugene, saber! Eugene, hold it! Eugene, saber! That's all I did.
Yeah, you need to use a level, but pardon me, so I just have a biscuit. So the reason I was using the level is because we put insulation on the walls. When you put the foil and blanket first, and we clamp them down with quick grips, and then you start putting your insulation. You start on the bottom, so when the water runs down, the water runs over the next corrugation. So we ran it horizontally, not vertically, and that way, because the walls were vertical, so it's easier to put them horizontal instead of taking up more room and putting hat sections and then run them horizontally. Vertically. Well, so we did it horizontally.
Yeah, you see more of it in the video.
Yeah, but we needed the level because every time we put a new sheet on, we had to put the level in the middle of the stud so we know it's level and we can find where to put the holes for the screws, because you don't want to go putting screws in the colour one thinking that you can feel it and think, oh yeah, it's about there, and put it there. Not only does it look out of place, you could miss, and then you've got to put a hole, and then you've got a hole left over.
Yeah, no good.
So we used the level all the time, and that's why we needed the Zaber. You were a lifesaver.
A lifesaver.
So Dominic, I've got to ask you, there's more to talk about, but I'm going to ask you, how's your channel going? I know you're part-time.
Yeah.
I know you're sort of dabbling at this point, but how's it going?
Yeah, it's going well. I just try and cover a bunch of different topics at this point because I'm kind of learning it all and see which ones people are interested in and then try and do more of those. So, yeah, so far so good.
You had a really good success right in the beginning, uploading a video probably 7 or 8 years ago, and it went really well, but then you didn't do anything for a long time.
Yeah, about 8 years off.
Yeah, but now you're sort of taking it a bit serious, and so Dominic has a lot, how can I say, he has a lot of knowledge, but he can help your business grow in so many ways. Now for me, I've had a big exposure to corporate, to running my own business, and everything Dominic says, it resonates with me because I know what he's talking about. Now, if you're in business and you're struggling and you just don't know which way you're going and you're working in your business, not on your business, it's really important that you do get someone to give you guidance and not yourself. All right, because if you use yourself as a guide, sometimes, and sorry to say this, sometimes you can have a fool as a guide. It's true. I'm sorry, it's just true. I had to learn the hard way personally. Yeah. You should really have a mentor. And so Dominic gives some incredible points, and he has sometimes people with him. He has chats with others, and he had a fellow talking on marketing. That was pretty good.
Yeah, Mahesh.
Mahesh, and he came up with a lot of good. Again, I can relate to everything he said.
Yeah.
About stop selling your product so cheap. Think about what your end game
what
is.
You're actually doing.
Why are you in business for? Yeah. And even with YouTubing, I've even got to apply my business skills to this because there's no use me making videos if I'm not going to be able to feed my family. So I'm doing YouTube as a career. Because of my spinal injury, I need to work at home to the most part. I do travel sometimes for smaller jobs. Yeah. Eugene was my biggest one out of home, and that's why it was a big commitment, and I had to get a big commitment from him. And so I don't charge to make videos. But the commitment is that they help and that I can release that video on YouTube, and they give me the permission for that. So that's my income. Okay, and so they give me the permission for that. It's all verbal and it's all on friendship. I'll do it for friends. I don't do it just on the bat of anyone ringing me. I've got too much on.
Yeah.
So I've already got a list. The guys could see it right there.
Yeah.
There's about 25
It's
lists.
growing.
And it's growing.
Growing more and more.
Gross, man.
There's a lot of people want me to do things for them, and that's fine. I have no problems. Sometimes I get them to come here. Some of you know Chicken Nugget. He actually brings things here for me to do. So his lawnmower, he's got a whippersnipper he wants me to look at. I'll do it here. So whatever I can do at home, I'll do at home. And sometimes I can't. So there's a big commitment. When I upskilled my license, after owning my business in Bateman's Bay, doing blinds and awnings, running Luxaflex Gallery dealership, I had to have operations on both my shoulders, sold that business with a non-compete. And so I had to sign for 3 years that I wouldn't go back in the industry. So I upskilled. I got my carpentry license, and so then I went to done the certificate for in building and got a restricted builder's license, started doing renovations. And so for me, as biggest pain it was, or in my mind, the torment of trying to do a big job, was that I knew how much work was involved, but I wanted to do a bathroom renovation. Now, this was only an ensuite. It was quite small. And I said to Eugene, I can't take it up to the ceiling. It's just too much work for me. So I said, we'll just do it up to 1.2 meters, but in the shower area, we'll go higher. But I did it in my normal fashion with a lot of detail. And so that's why I needed Eugene's commitment to, and it was a 4-week video. It was 5 weeks after that editing. There was a lot involved.
Wow.
And so it's a 2-part series, and there's a lot involved. If you want to know how to do a bathroom renovations, that video, I get so many people telling me that is so good.
That is very detailed.
Very comprehensive,
Very comprehensive.
So in this tiny home, I will be doing an ensuite, but fresh from new, and I'm still liaison with my very good friend Louis, who likes to be called Elias or Elias. We're school friend buddies, and we're talking if he can just do the flooring for me, so it's not going to be hard for me to be on the floor, and then I'll just do the walls. So Eugene saw how hard it was for me to do the floors.
Yeah, it was a weird angle.
I struggled a lot, but anyway. And so with this tiny home, it's very similar. It's a bit of a struggle, but I enjoy it. So what did you think of that experience, the whole filming and all the rest experience? Because you see me constantly saying, Eugene, I've got to change the camera, I've got to do this, got to do that.
I guess it's a lot easier compared to the bathroom because we had more space and where you can place your cameras and all that.
Yeah.
In the bathroom, it was just an ensuite.
So when we did the bathroom, you saw how tight that was.
Yeah, it was really
and your
nice.
lighting was shocking. Remember how it kept changing the camera colour? Because depending if it was morning or night, and the colour kept changing. So when I'm editing, I had to try to change that colour a little bit. It was hard.
Yeah, I think people underestimate how much work goes into the planning.
Yeah.
The actual recording is, and then the editing.
Editing's hard.
The editing's usually just.
Dominic's watched me do editing.
Yeah.
He was a bit surprised.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that the editing is almost as long, if not longer, than the actual recording.
We did 40 hours of first and second stage. It was 80 hours all up. And so not only did that have to be stored on my computer 4K, which is a lot, but it was a long time editing. So I had to actually take it off and put it on a hard drive to store it because my computer wasn't big enough to take that much footage.
So much data.
Yeah, but it turned out fantastic. It was a good video. But anyway, so when we're here, you're right. When we did the tiny home, it was actually a lot easier because I just had to change I could put it nearly anywhere I wanted to. I had such a big area to work with.
You had the space to put the camera, and there was natural lighting.
Yeah.
You had to worry about the fluorescent light or the light bulbs.
Yeah. So I've got a list here of things I want to talk about, and I've talked about most things. So Dominic's video, we're going to start in a few months. We're not exactly sure. It depends on the progression of the tiny home. It really does depend on that. It is paramount that I stick with the tiny home. I'm doing smaller videos. I did that video with Victor, the naturopath, to explain why some things are done on video the way they are, and they need to be done that way because...
Is that the next video?
Next Friday, yeah. Next Friday. So I've been doing live chats. I try to keep to that commitment once every 2 months. It's not always every 2 months. But also it makes it easier for my tiny homes because there's a lot of editing in that. So it's a nightmare right now. I'm not getting much sleep and it's giving me sleep deprivation. So but it's also the pain factor because I'm not on Lyrica anymore and I'm just trying to sort of balance it all. But now I've got here to say Spreadshop. on our channel, Quantum Home Improvements, we have Spreadshop. Now, if you're looking for any t-shirts, hats, aprons, I think Dominic bought an apron.
I did get an apron, yeah.
Yeah.
Love it.
And Eugene's going to buy a shirt very soon.
Yeah, I didn't know you had a special.
Was that too obvious?
Yeah. I didn't get it.
Sorry to commit you there. Anyway, so we've got Spreadshop, and you'll see it on the front page. And
you are saying Spreadshop, not Sweatshop, right?
yeah, no. And they're not made in a Spreadshop. It actually comes from Europe. Okay, so and I think the main organisation comes from America, but I think they come from Europe. They're printed in Europe, and I think they're made in Europe. So they are a fairly good quality. I've actually bought one. Yeah. And I'm very happy with the fabric. I am a dressmaker by profession. I have made videos on dressmaking, by the way. So look out for that if you are interested. I have also done videos on cooking. I love cooking. And on chickens. We have chickens on this property. So now, I also do brewing.
Yes.
Okay, and it's a big part of my channel. And so I try to release a video 4 times a year with brewing. Now, because of the tiny home, most of the other subjects or topics I've had to sort of slow down, like cooking especially. But the brewing I'm still doing for a year because we have an annual live chat. And so the next live chat, we are now in May, will be in July. We always have an annual live chat brew tasting in July. And so that'll be coming up. It's probably the end of July. Reason being, Dr. Penner, who is a good friend of mine, not sure why he did this, but he volunteered to be on a video with me making red wine. Now, I have allergies. You'll find out if you watch the video next Friday. I have allergies. I explained it on video, and it implicates me with my cauda equina syndrome, which is my spinal injury. So everything from my waist down is damaged. So if I eat grapes, I can have some issues. I tend not to. So I made this video, and we made it from the grapes from our garden, from our tree, from our vine. And so we had a lot of fun with it because this particular grape was not traditionally for wine.
Oh, wow.
And we've made it work.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. we've fudged it. So
I thought beer was for October.
No, there's an Oktoberfest.
Yeah, no, July.
But no, July.
They brought it forward.
Well, that's why I call it a brew tasting. Okay, because if I call it beer tasting, then it's going to be a contradiction. Okay. So it's a brew tasting. We have done mead wine, honey, which is a honey wine. We've done rice wine, and now we're going to be doing. We release a grape wine video, and also there is a cider, apple cider. I can't eat apples either, by the way. So I'm going to make this where I can drink it.
Ginger beer.
Yeah, and ginger beer. Thank you. And ginger beer. But I'm going to be making apple cider, but I'm going to be cooking it. Because anything cooked and kills a protein, I can actually consume. Oh. So I'm going to be making apple cider, but I'm going to be doing it and not many people actually boil it up. Wow. I will be boiling it so I can drink it.
You'll be the first one.
No, you can boil it. You can. You can actually. You need. Some people boil it to kill off the bacteria. Some people use Camden tablets. Camden tablets is a chemical. I'm trying to do it without a chemical, and also to the point where I can drink it. If I use Camden tablets, it's not going to kill the protein. Okay. All right. So that live chat comes up in what's it now? In about 8 weeks, roughly. 8 weeks, 9 weeks. I'm not sure exactly when. Could be a little bit longer. What's the? Probably 9 weeks. Probably the end of July. Anyway, so I'm just looking at my computer here, and so, guys, any last thoughts?
No, I'm looking forward to the beer.
Are you? Yeah. You're not looking?
I am.
You are?
Yeah.
To the cider?
Yeah, no. July, the
We want to come
brew
back.
tasting.
Yeah. Come back for brew tasting. Yeah. Not dry. Not dry.
Anyway, so once again, I'll put a link for both these guys for Dominic's YouTube channel and also for Eugene. Once he gives me his link, I'll put it in the descriptions below. Guys, thank you very much for joining us. I really do appreciate all your support, and I know a lot of you watch this live chats after the event. Look, if you have any comments at all, we didn't get many today, that's fine. Just send them through and I will answer them under the normal comment section of any video. And anyway, I look forward to seeing you on the next one, and just take it easy. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
See ya.
See ya.